The midpoint rule, also known as the split the difference or Nibble technique, is a negotiation strategy employed to bridge the gap between parties with differing initial positions. This technique involves proposing a settlement that falls exactly halfway between the initial demands or offers of both parties. By doing so, negotiators aim to find a compromise that is acceptable to both sides and that takes into consideration their willingness to make concessions. The midpoint rule is based on the assumption that negotiations involve a degree of posturing and anchoring. Anchoring refers to the initial offer or demand that sets the tone for the rest of the negotiation. Parties tend to adjust their positions from this starting point, resulting in a potential discrepancy between their actual preferences and their initial stance. Using the midpoint rule strategically can help shift the focus from extreme positions to a more moderate middle ground. When one party's initial demand is significantly higher or lower than the other's offer, suggesting a midpoint can demonstrate a willingness to compromise and encourage the other party to reciprocate. This approach aims to create a sense of fairness and balance, fostering an atmosphere of collaboration rather than confrontation. However, the success of the midpoint rule depends on several factors. First, negotiators must accurately assess the ZOPA, zone of possible agreement, to ensure that the proposed midpoint is within the range both parties can accept. Secondly, understanding the underlying interests, priorities, and motivations of each party is crucial to proposing a midpoint that resonates with their concerns. While the midpoint rule can be an effective tool, it may not be suitable for all negotiations. In cases where there is a significant power imbalance or when parties have entrenched positions, this approach might not be sufficient to reach an agreement. Additionally, relying solely on the midpoint might neglect the potential for creative solutions that address the parties' underlying needs and interests. Negotiators can enhance the midpoint rule by employing active listening, empathy, and open communication. By acknowledging the reasoning behind each party's initial position, negotiators can refine the midpoint proposal to align with both parties' objectives. Moreover, demonstrating flexibility and a willingness to adjust the midpoint based on additional information or concessions can build trust and encourage reciprocation. In conclusion, the midpoint rule is a negotiation technique that involves proposing a settlement at the midpoint between the initial demands or offers of parties. This approach aims to encourage compromise, shift the focus away from extreme positions, and create a sense of fairness. However, its success depends on accurately identifying the ZOPA and understanding the parties' underlying motivations. While the midpoint rule can be effective in some cases, it's important to combine it with active listening and creative problem solving to achieve mutually beneficial outcomes.